The hum of the engines was a familiar lullaby to 12-year-old Lily Chun. She was nestled comfortably in her seat, gazing out the window at the endless expanse of clouds, like a fluffy white carpet stretching to the horizon. Below, the world was a distant, abstract painting of greens and browns. Lily loved flying. It wasn't just the destination, it was the journey, the feeling of soaring above everything, the quiet power of the massive machine carrying her through the sky. This flight, from Seattle to Tokyo, was supposed to be uneventful. Her parents, both busy software engineers, were deep into their work on their laptops, occasionally glancing up to offer a tired smile or a gentle reminder to finish her book. Lily, however, was far from bored. She was immersed in a flight simulator game on her tablet, a highly realistic one that taught her the intricacies of takeoffs, landings, and emergency procedures. Her dream, ever since she could remember, was to become a pilot. Suddenly a jolt, not violent, but enough to spill a little of her apple juice. The plane dipped slightly, then her parents looked up, a flicker of concern in their eyes. Turbulence, probably, her dad mumbled, already returning to his code. But Lily felt something different. The subtle shift in engine noise, the way the plane felt heavier, less responsive. Her simulator instincts, honed over hundreds of virtual hours, screamed that something was off. A moment later, the cabin lights flickered. Then, the soft chime that usually signaled the seatbelt sign. But this time, it was followed by a strange, garbled announcement over the intercom. It sounded like Captain Miller, but his voice was strained, distorted, then cut off abruptly with a crackle. A ripple of unease spread through the cabin. Passengers exchanged worried glances. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt. "I'm going to check," she announced, her voice surprisingly steady, despite the knot forming in her stomach. "Lily, stay in your seat," her mom whispered. But Lily was already heading for the front of the plane. She moved with a purpose that belied her age, her small frame weaving through the increasingly anxious passengers. The flight attendants, usually calm and reassuring, now looked pale and frantic, whispering urgently into their phones. "Excuse me," Lily said to the nearest attendant, a woman named Sarah with kind eyes that now held a hint of panic. "What's happening?" Sarah knelt down, trying to keep her voice low. We're having some technical difficulties, sweetie. Please go back to your seat." "No," Lily insisted, her eyes wide but determined. The captain sounded strange. "Is he okay? Are the pilots okay?" Just then, a loud thud came from the cockpit door. Sarah gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Lily, quick as a flash, darted past her and pressed her ear against the door. She heard a faint groan, then silence. "They're not responding," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "We can't get them to open the door." Lily's heart pounded. She remembered a scenario from her simulator. Pilot incapacitation. It was rare, but it happened. "Is there a code to open the cockpit door from the outside?" she asked, remembering the emergency procedure. Sarah looked at her surprised. "Yes, but only the senior flight attendant knows it, and she's in the back, trying to calm everyone." "Tell me the code," Lily urged, her voice firm. "I need to help them." Sarah hesitated. Then, seeing the unwavering resolve in Lily's eyes, and perhaps a glimmer of desperate hope, she rattled off a sequence of numbers. Lily punched them into the keypad beside the door, a soft click, and the heavy door swung inward. The sight inside the cockpit was chilling. Captain Miller and First Officer Jenkins were slumped in their seats, unconscious. Their faces were ashen, and a faint, sweet smell, like almonds, hung in the air. Lily immediately recognized the symptoms from her research. Hypoxia, a lack of oxygen. The cabin pressure must have dropped. She scanned the instrument panel. Alarms were blaring, red lights flashing. The autopilot light was off. The plane was flying, but it was drifting, slowly losing altitude. The altimeter was dropping wildly. "They're not breathing properly," Lily yelled back to Sarah, who had followed her. "The oxygen masks. They need oxygen." Sarah, recovering quickly, rushed forward and deployed the emergency oxygen masks for the pilots. She secured them over their faces, her hands shaking. Lily, meanwhile, was already in the first officer's seat, her small hands reaching for the controls. "What are you doing?" Sarah cried, horrified. "I know how to fly this plane," Lily said, her voice tight with concentration. "I've practiced this 1,000 times." It sounded insane. A 12-year-old girl, flying a commercial airliner. But Sarah looked at the unconscious pilots, then at the frantic passengers in the cabin, and then back at Lily's determined face. There was no one else. "Okay," Sarah said, her voice surprisingly calm now. "What do you need me to do?" "Check their pulses," Lily instructed, her eyes darting across the instrument panel, "and see if there's an emergency oxygen supply for the cabin." The masks didn't drop. Sarah quickly checked the pilots, confirming faint pulses. She then moved to the cabin, her voice clear and strong as she instructed passengers to find the manual release for their oxygen masks if they hadn't deployed automatically. Lily, meanwhile, was fighting the controls. The plane was pitching and rolling, the wind screaming outside. She gripped the yoke, her small frame straining against the forces. Okay, she muttered to herself, recalling her simulator lessons. Stabilize, airspeed, altitude. She pushed the throttles forward slightly, feeling the engines respond. The plane shuddered, then began to level out. She checked the altimeter. They were at 28,000 feet and dropping. We need to climb, she thought. She pulled back gently on the yoke, feeling the nose of the plane lift. The airspeed began to drop, a dangerous sign. Too much, she chastised herself. She eased off, found the sweet spot, and watched as the altimeter, slowly, agonizingly, began to tick upwards. Cabin pressure warning. A computerized voice played. Cabin pressure warning. Lily remembered the lack of oxygen. She had to restore cabin pressure. She scanned the overhead panel, her eyes searching for the environmental controls. There were dozens of switches, dials, and buttons. She took a deep breath, trying to remember the layout from her simulator. Pressurization. Bleed air, packs, Her finger hovered over a row of switches. She remembered a lesson on the environmental control system, ECS. She found the PAX switches, which controlled the air conditioning and pressurization. They were off. She flipped them on. A whoosh of air filled the cabin, and a moment later the cabin pressure warning light extinguished. She heard a collective sigh of relief from the passengers. The oxygen masks, which had been dangling uselessly, now had a steady flow of air. Good job, Lily, Sarah called out, her voice filled with newfound hope. Now what? Lily asked, her voice still strained. You need to contact air traffic control. Sarah fumbled with the radio. I'm not sure how to use this. It's the comms panel, Lily instructed, pointing to a complex array of buttons and knobs. Frequency, transmit, squawk code. She remembered the standard emergency frequency. Try 121.5 and set the squawk to 7,700. That's the emergency code. Sarah, with surprising dexterity, followed her instructions. She pressed the transmit button. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is Flight 714, Seattle to Tokyo. We have pilot incapacitation. I repeat, pilot incapacitation. Cabin crew is in control. Silence. Then, a crackle. Flight 714, this is Tokyo Air Traffic Control. We read you. State your position and nature of emergency. We are approximately 500 nautical miles west of Tokyo, Sarah responded, glancing at the navigation display. Both pilots are unconscious. A passenger is flying the aircraft. A stunned silence from the other end. Then, a voice, clearly trying to remain calm, said a passenger. Can you confirm? Flight 7 confirmed, Sarah said, her voice firm. A 12-year-old girl. She's stable and maintaining altitude. Another pause. Understood. Flight 714. We are scrambling fighter jets to intercept and escort you. Can the passenger provide a heading in airspeed? Lily, listening intently, quickly calculated. Heading 270, airspeed 300 knots. Roger that. Flight 714, maintain heading 270, airspeed 300 knots. We are clearing your airspace. The next few hours were a blur of intense concentration for Lily. She maintained the heading, adjusted the throttles, and kept a watchful eye on the instruments. Sarah, meanwhile, was a lifeline, relaying instructions from ATC, checking on the pilots, and reassuring the passengers. The fighter jets, to sleek, powerful machines, soon appeared on their wings, a comforting presence in the vast sky. Flight 714. This is Raptor 1, a voice crackled over the radio. We have visual. You're doing great. Just follow us. Lily felt a surge of pride. She was flying this plane. She was saving everyone. As they approached Tokyo airspace, the instructions became more complex. Flight 714, prepare for descent. Reduce airspeed to 250 knots. Begin descent at 1,500 feet per minute. Descent was always tricky in the simulator. It required a delicate balance of pitch and power. Lily eased the throttles back, lowered the nose, and watched the vertical speed indicator. Too fast, and they'd dive. Too slow, and they'd stall. She made tiny, precise adjustments, her eyes glued to the numbers. Landing gear down, ATC instructed. Landing gear, Lily repeated, searching for the lever. She found it, a large, red handle, and pulled it down. A thud, and the plane shuddered as the landing gear locked into place. Flaps 10, ATC continued. Flaps, Lily mumbled, finding the flap lever. She moved it to the first notch. The plane slowed further, the wings generating more lift. The runway lights of Tokyo Narita International Airport appeared in the distance, a dazzling ribbon of white and red. It looked impossibly small from this height. Lily felt a tremor of fear. This was the hardest part. The landing. All right, Lily, Sarah said, her voice calm but firm. You've got this. Just like your game. Flaps 20, ATC said. Maintain glide slope. You are cleared to land. Runway 34 left. Lily adjusted the flaps again. The plane was slowing, descending steadily. She could see the ground rushing up to meet them. The runway grew larger, clearer, speed brakes armed, she heard ATC say. Lily found the speed brake lever and armed it. Her hands were sweating, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm. She could feel the weight of the plane, the thousands of lives depending on her. 50 feet, the automated voice announced. 40, 30, 20, 10. Lily pulled back gently on the yoke, flaring the nose, feeling the wheels kiss the tarmac with a surprisingly gentle bump. A collective cheer erupted from the cabin. She had done it. She pushed the thrust reversers, felt the powerful engines roar. In reverse, and then applied the brakes. The plane slowed, rolling smoothly down the runway. Flight 714. Welcome to Tokyo, Narita, ATC said, a note of genuine relief in the controller's voice. You are clear to exit the runway at taxiway Alpha 7. Follow the Follow Me car. Lily, her body trembling with adrenaline and exhaustion, steered the massive aircraft off the runway. As the Follow Me car led them to the gate, she looked back at the unconscious pilots. Paramedics were already rushing onto the plane. The moment the plane came to a complete stop at the gate, the cabin erupted. Passengers cheered, clapped and wept with relief. Flight attendants rushed forward, hugging Lily, their eyes glistening with tears. Her parents, who had watched the entire ordeal from their seats, now pushed their way through the crowd, embracing her tightly. My brave girl, her mom whispered, burying her face in Lily's hair. You saved us all. News crews were already swarming. The airport, Lily, a small figure in a giant cockpit, was the center of attention. When the paramedics had stabilized Captain Miller and First Officer Jenkins, they confirmed that a sudden severe drop in cabin pressure, likely due to a faulty valve, had caused their rapid. Lily's quick thinking and knowledge had been the only thing that saved the flight. The next few days were a whirlwind. Lily was hailed as a hero. She appeared on news channels around the world, her story inspiring millions. Aviation experts marveled at her composure and technical understanding. Major airlines offered her scholarships, and even the National Aeronautics and Space Administration (NASA) sent her a letter of commendation. Maxwell Thorne, the CEO of the National Railway Heritage Museum, even sent her a personal letter acknowledging her incredible feat and suggesting she might have a future in preserving more than just historical engines. But amidst all the fanfare, Lily remained grounded. She was glad everyone was safe. She was proud of what she had done, but mostly she was just a girl who loved to fly. A few weeks later, back home, the excitement had begun to subside. Lily was back in her room, playing her flight simulator. She was practicing a complex crosswind landing, her brow furrowed in concentration. Her dad walked in, a thoughtful expression on his face. You know, Lily, he said, I was thinking, that flight simulator game, maybe it's time we got you a real one, a professional grade one, the kind they use to train pilots. Lily's eyes widened. Really? Dad, really? He smiled. And maybe, when you're older, we can look into flight school. What do you say? Lily grinned, a wide, joyful smile that lit up her face. I say, prepare for takeoff. She knew her journey had only just begun. The sky, once a distant dream, now felt closer than ever. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that one day she would be back up there, not as a passenger, but as the pilot, soaring among the clouds, guiding her own destiny. The little girl who saved a plane at 30,000 feet was ready for her next adventure.